Okay, let's set the scene. Picture this. It's dark. Really dark, pre-dawn, August 4th, 1914. The world's just tipped over into, well, the Great War. And somewhere off the coast of Korea, there's a German light cruiser. They spot another ship. Think it's the Russian cruiser Askold.
Right. Initial identification. Happens all the time in the fog of war, especially early on.
Exactly. So they fire warning shots, bring it to a halt, and oops, it's the Ryazan, a Russian merchant ship, 80 civilians, no real cargo of military value. But the captain, Karl von Müller, he doesn't hesitate, does he?
Not at all. Swift decision, seize it, and boom, just like that, Germany's got its first naval prize of World War I.
It's quite an opening, isn't it? And that ship, the Ryazan, it actually gets converted later. They arm it, turn it into the auxiliary cruiser Cormoran.
Ah, interesting. Repurposed. But the ship we're really focusing on today, the one that made that capture, that's the SMS Emden.
That's the one, the Emden. And that's what this deep dive is all about. We're looking at your sources to really unpack its story.
Yeah, it's an incredible story how this one ship became known as Germany's gentleman pirate, caused absolute chaos, used some really surprising tactics, and, well, became a legend. So our mission today is to figure out what made the Emden and its crew so remarkable. What can we learn from its pretty short but very impactful career?
Well, first off, the ship itself. The sources describe her really well. She wasn't a battleship, not by a long shot. She was a light cruiser. That meant she was fast, nimble, had 10.5 centimeter guns. Not huge guns, but enough punch for what she needed to do, especially against merchant shipping.
So speed and agility were key. More predator than slugger.
Precisely. Built for raiding, for hit-and-run tactics, and then you have the people running her.
Right, the command team. Captain von Müller, the sources paint him as quiet, very precise, disciplined, respected.
Deeply respected, yeah.
Yeah.
And his number 2, Helmut von Müller. Seems like he was the bolder one, more charismatic, perhaps.
Yeah, different style. It sounds like they were the real heart of the ship, that pairing. How much do you think that Müller-Mucke dynamic played into their success?
Oh, I think it was absolutely critical. Their synergy, that balance of careful planning and decisive action, it really defined the Emden's operations, and you have to see it in the bigger picture. It's a strategic context.
Which was pretty grim for Germany in the Pacific, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Admiral von Spee, commanding the German East Asia Squadron, he looked at the map. Britain, France, Japan, their navies combined. Just overwhelming odds. So he couldn't risk a big fleet battle. His decision. Scatter the ships. Send them out to, well, disrupt, raid, survive as best they could.
And the Emden gets a special assignment?
A very special one. She was specifically tasked to stay behind in the Indian Ocean. The order was basically, go raise havoc. That shows incredible trust in Müller and his crew to operate alone deep in enemy territory.
Raise havoc, and she certainly did. But how? How did one light cruiser manage to operate for so long in one of the world's busiest shipping lanes without getting caught immediately? The Allies must have been hunting her relentlessly.
They were. But the Emden was smart. Very smart. First, logistics. She wasn't entirely alone initially. She had a collier, the Markomania, shadowing her. Essential for coal, for fuel.
Ah, the lifeline. Makes sense.
But the really ingenious part, highlighted in your sources, was the deception.
The extra funnel.
The extra funnel. They actually rigged up a dummy 4th funnel. To make the Emden silhouette look like a British cruiser. Specifically the HMS Yarmouth, I believe.
That's brilliant. Hiding in plain sight.
It really was. A simple visual trick, but incredibly effective. It shows you that sometimes, cleverness beats technology. Exploiting expectations.
So, armed with this disguise, by September 1914, the Emden is prowling the Indian Ocean, and the captures start piling up. Right?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Rapidly. One of the early ones mentioned is the Greek coal ship Pontoporos.
No, Greece was neutral then, wasn't it? How could they seize a neutral ship?
Ah, but the cargo wasn't neutral. It was coal bound for British India, enemy destination. So, under the prize rules of the time, the cargo, and by extension the ship carrying it, could be considered fair game.
Okay, tricky legal ground, but strategically sound for them. And the crew. The Greek crew.
That's another interesting detail. Von Müller apparently gave them a choice. Join his crew, essentially, or be put ashore safely later, and they chose to stay with the Emden.
They stayed. Voluntarily. What does that tell you about von Müller's reputation even that early?
It speaks volumes, doesn't it? It hints that word was already getting around, maybe not the gentleman pirate label yet, but certainly that he treated captives humanely. A stark contrast to what many expected.
And the pace just kept up. How many ships did she end up capturing?
The final tally, according to the sources, is 23 ships sunk or captured. Plus, think about the disruption. seizing valuable coal, supplies, even luxury goods, and the biggest impact, tying down Allied resources. At one point, there were reportedly close to 88 Allied warships hunting for this one cruiser.
80 ships, just hunting the Emden. That's incredible.
Incredible waste of resources from the Allied perspective, but a huge strategic win for Germany, achieved by just one ship. And this brings us back to that paradox.
The gentleman pirate thing. Fast, destructive raids, but polite.
Astonishingly polite is the term often used. Prisoners weren't mistreated, they were cared for. Often, Müller would use one of the captured ships as a transport, load the prisoners onto it, and send them safely to a neutral port.
Even the British press, while furious about the losses, acknowledged his conduct.
They did. Reluctantly, sometimes. But they admitted the German captain was unusually chivalrous.
How do you square that? The destruction and the chivalry, was it just Müller's personal code, or was there a strategy behind being the good guy pirate?
I think it was likely both. He clearly had a strong sense of honor. But strategically, absolutely. Treating prisoners well wasn't just decent. It was smart psychological warfare. It made it harder for Allied propaganda to paint the Germans as simple monsters. It created confusion, even a grudging respect. That's a form of power, too, undermining the enemy's narrative.
Soft power and hard war. But she wasn't just capturing merchant ships. She took some incredibly bold swings, too, didn't she?
Oh, yeah. The raids became legendary. Take Madras, September 22nd.
Tell us about that. What happened?
Pure audacity. Emden slips in close to the Indian coast near Madras just before 10 p.m. The city is oblivious. Big oil tanks belonging to the Burma Oil Company are sitting right there exposed.
Vulnerable.
Totally. Emden gets within 3,000 meters. That's really close. It opens fire. The second and third salvos hit the tanks. Bang! 5,000 tons of oil go up in flames.
Wow. The whole sky must have lit up.
Black smoke. Panic in the city. And the psychological impact. Huge. No Indian port had faced a naval attack in centuries. The British were completely stunned. Vulnerable where they thought they were safe.
A massive blow to morale and prestige, and then she topped that.
You could argue she did. A month later, October 22nd. Penang Harbor, Malaya.
Another harbor attack? How did she get in?
Disguised again. That fake fourth funnel's still working its magic. She sails right into Penang Harbor in the early hours, bold as brass. Looks like a British cruiser arriving.
Unbelievable. What was in the harbor?
Anchored and undergoing repairs, unfortunately for them, was the Russian cruiser Zemchug.
Oh, dear. Caught completely off guard.
Completely. Emden steams up to within 500 meters. No challenge. Then up goes the German battle flag and splash a torpedo hits the Zemchug right in the engine room.
Devastating.
And it wasn't over. Emden starts shelling her. Then a second torpedo. That one hits the forward magazine. The explosion was immense, apparently shook the whole harbor.
The casualties must have been heavy.
Very. 91 Russian sailors killed, over 100 wounded. The Zemchug sank quickly. And then, adding to the chaos, a French torpedo boat, the Mousquet, comes racing out to see what's happening.
Straight into danger.
Straight into the Emden's guns. She was sunk too. But then, that Emden paradox again.
What? After all that?
Before slipping away, the Emden stopped, lowered boats, rescued 36 French survivors from the Mousquet.
Rescued the enemy sailors after sinking their ship. That's extraordinary.
Extraordinary. Sows destruction, then shows mercy. And vanishes again. You can see why the legend grew.
Absolutely. Which brings us inevitably to her final act, Direction Island.
November 1914. The target this time. The British communication station on Direction Island, part of the Cocos Keeling chain. Vital undersea cables ran through there.
Another raid. Sounds routine by now for them.
It should have been. Dawn, November 9th. Von Müller, the charismatic number 2, leads a 50-man landing party ashore to destroy the radio masts and equipment.
Standard procedure. But something went wrong.
Terribly wrong for the Emden. They were seen. The station managed to get off an SOS message before Mookie's team shut them down. Strange ship-off entrance.
An SOS, that's bad news.
Worse than they knew. Crucially, just 55 miles away, hidden over the horizon, was a large Allied troop convoy. And escorting it
Go tell me.
was the Australian light cruiser, HMAS Sydney. Bigger, faster, and crucially armed with more powerful 6-inch guns compared to Emden's 4.1-inch, 10.5 centimeters.
Oh, this is it then. The Sydney is dispatched.
Immediately, steams full speed towards Direction Island.
And back on the Emden, Müller realizes they've been caught. But his landing party.
His best gun crews are ashore with von Müller. A terrible dilemma. He recalls the landing party, but there isn't enough time. The Sydney is approaching fast.
So he has to fight, but shorthanded and outgunned.
He had no real choice. Engage or surrender. And Müller chose to fight. Emden raises steam and sails out to meet the Sydney.
What were those first moments of the battle like?
Emden fired first. Her gunnery, as always, was excellent. The first salvos were accurate, they hit the Sydney, but her smaller shells, they just didn't have the punch to do critical damage to the bigger Australian cruiser.
But the Sydney's return fire.
Devastating. The Sydney's heavier shells started tearing the Emden apart. Radio room gone, steering gear damaged, aft guns knocked out, funnels collapsing, fires breaking out everywhere.
Brutal, but she fought on.
She did, incredibly tenaciously. Even crippled, burning, she kept firing back.
Yeah.
A real testament to the crew's spirit and training. But the result was inevitable.
So Müller knew it was over. What did he do?
To save the rest of his crew, he made the final call. He deliberately steered the shattered, burning Emden onto a reef near North Keeling Island, ran her aground.
Beached her. Surrender, but on his own terms, in a way. Protecting his men.
Exactly. Only then, seeing the Emden grounded and helpless, did HMAS Sydney cease firing. Battle was over.
And the aftermath. Müller and the survivors.
Taken prisoner by the Sydney. But the sources emphasize they were treated with considerable respect. That gentleman pirate reputation, it seems, earned them admiration even from their enemies.
And what about von Müller and the landing party, still stuck on Direction Island?
Their story is almost as incredible as the Emden's 50 men stranded. But von Müller, he didn't give up.
What did they do?
He commandeered an old schooner, the Aisha, sailed it across the Indian Ocean, landed in what's now Indonesia, then got passage on a German freighter to Padang.
Just kept going.
Kept going. Made their way through the Red Sea, across the Arabian Desert by camel, fighting Bedouin raiders, eventually reaching Ottoman territory, Germany's ally. An epic journey back to friendly lines. Took months. Incredible leadership and resilience.
Wow, an escape worthy of a movie? And the Emden herself.
She stayed wrecked on that reef for decades, a landmark. Finally salvaged for scrap in the 1950s. Her physical end, but her legacy, that was secured long before. Not just a footnote, but a major story of the war at sea.
So wrapping this up, thinking about this deep dive into the Emden story through your sources, what are the big takeaways for you, for the listener?
For me, it's that unique mix. On one hand, she was a highly effective weapon of war, causing real damage and disruption. On the other, there's this surprising element of, well, chivalry, for lack of a better word.
Right. It challenges simple narratives. It's also a story about ingenuity, isn't it? The fake funnel, the bold tactics, and just sheer resilience from Müller, Muka, the whole crew.
Absolutely. It really shows how individual commanders and their crews on a single ship could have such a massive impact, capturing the world's attention, even the enemy's respect. It proves that even in the industrial scale of modern war, individual daring and, yes, principles could still stand out.
It's a powerful reminder. So maybe the final thought to leave everyone with is this. When we talk about concepts like honorable war or chivalry in conflict, what does the Emden story really tell us? Does it show the potential for decency even in brutality? Or does it highlight the ultimate limits of such ideals when faced with total war?
That's a deep question. Maybe both.
And it makes you wonder, what other incredible single-ship stories, tales of unbelievable daring or paradox are still out there, maybe less famous than the Emden, just waiting to be uncovered?